Hello and welcome inside Ball Arena here in Denver, where Game 2 between the Colorado Avalanche and the Tampa Bay Lightning begins in about a couple of hours at 8 o'clock or 8:15. You know how the TV side of this thing goes. Let's first talk about what happened in Game 1, the 4-3 overtime loss against the Avs inside this building. The Tampa Bay Lightning, they did not look crisp to begin the game, and honestly, that's been the story of the postseason for them for most of this outside of the Florida Panthers series. You go back to the 5-0 loss against the Maple Leafs, the 6-2 loss against the Rangers. For some reason, and John Cooper doesn't have the answer, for some reason they just do not start off well, and the Avs really capitalized on that to jump out to a 2-0 lead. Now, having said that, they really settled down, the Bolts that is, when they were able to get into a rhythm. Colorado only scored 2 goals after that initial surge. One was a 5-on-3 advantage, and with this power play, you're going to give up a goal nearly every time in that scenario. And then the other goal was a bounced puck off Victor Hedman's skate in overtime. But even beyond that, John Cooper said after the game, the right team won, and he was right. I mean, Tampa Bay only had 23 shots in that game. Colorado had 38. And here's the thing, Andrei Vasilevsky, who according to John Cooper was the best player in Game 1, he can do what he's got to do. I mean, he's a wall back there. But the goaltending situation is not pretty for Colorado. If there's one advantage that the Lightning have in this matchup, is that they have a significantly better goalie on paper. So what you have to hope is that for the Lightning to pepper shots today, I harken back to Game 3 against the Rangers when we returned to Amalie Arena, and we saw them shoot Igor Shesterkin for nearly 50 shots. And they almost lost that game, but it's getting aggressive. It's a mindset thing, and they really didn't do that again in the series, but it was something like, hey, we need to get going, and we need to try and put some pressure on their goaltender. In that situation, Igor was just ridiculously hard to get past. I want to send you around the horn here, and you can just kind of drink in a little bit of what Ball Arena looks like as the fans are starting to trickle in. A lot of Avs fans, you know, it was the other night. We were doing a YouTube Live, and we tried to find you Bolts fans. We found one, my friend from Sarasota. Outside of that, it was slim pickings. So the home ice advantage is certainly great with this team. The environment is electric. I was extremely impressed. The music, I love it. It takes me back to a 12-year-old kid. It is tremendous, including the Blink-182 scenes. Let me give you some statistics right now to break down how good the Bolts are in Game 2s. 24-11 all time. That is the best record in Game 2s in NHL history. They're also 11-4 on the road. This team has also never lost in Game 2 of a Stanley Cup final. They are a perfect 4-0, and they have only won Game 1 once, and that was last year against Montreal. So the organization has been in this position before. The Lightning have been in this position before with these players. And losing Game 1 is certainly not a death sentence. And as we know with the Rangers series, losing Game 2 also isn't necessarily a death sentence. But only 5 teams in Stanley Cup final history have ever won when trailing 2-0 in a series. So in the Stanley Cup final series, I should say. So that's a little bit of an ominous tone. And then not to mention for the Avalanche, they are 16-4 all time when they lead 2-0 in a series. But here's the kicker. They are 9-11 when tied 1-1. So, I don't really get that one. They're 6-6 when starting at home. That makes a little bit more sense. But it seems like if you can get into a battle with them, you might be able to figure some things out, especially against this team, which is an extremely electric offense. The one thing that we did talk with John Cooper about and what the Lightning did very well was they limited Cale Makar. That guy plays 1 million minutes in the contest. He's like Victor Hedman, only younger and arguably better right now. I mean, I would say definitely better right now. But that has to be the continued key. What John Cooper talks about is Colorado's D-men. They're so quick and they're so aggressive to be a part of the offense that they love to just jump on you and transition. If the Bolts can hold on to the puck a little bit longer, manage that well, because they had 17, Colorado had 17 takeaways to Tampa Bay's 4 in Game 1. If the Bolts can control the puck, control the tempo, then the D-men are going to be on the ice longer. It's going to be a longer time before they get the puck, and then they're not going to break out in transition. They're going to dump and do a line change. So those are some of the things that I think when looking at this matchup and figuring out, hey, how is this game going to play out? I'm envisioning a crisper game from the Lightning and what they love to do is muck it up. So it's really a total two different sides here of who's going to control the tempo, because the Avs want to run, and the Bolts want to slow it down, muck it up, and just get the grimiest of goals, something we saw from Mikhail Sergachev. We got about another, what time is it? It is 8:30 or 6:39. I'll eventually learn the time change here, but we'll get to that. Also, I want to mention that Andrei Vasilevsky is phenomenal in these spots. 18-1 since 2020 after a loss in the postseason. Of course, that historic streak, something where I don't think we will ever see it again in professional sports. It is one of the more remarkable runs to win 18 consecutive games after a postseason loss. That still blows my mind, but that streak was snapped in the New York Rangers series. And then also, they are 9 for their last 10 in Game 2s. That streak of 9 straight was also snapped in the Rangers series. But this team, they're the Tampa Bay Findaways for a reason. They know how to rebound. They have the veteran experience. I asked Alex Killorn after the loss on Wednesday if they can seek solace in the fact that they have been here, they have done that, and they've lost Game 1 before. And he kind of corrected me and said, we've seen everything as a team. We've been through every scenario. We've been swept. We have swept another team. We've been down. We've been up. So nothing really phases them. They are completely confident entering this matchup, and especially with Andrei Vasilevsky in net, especially with John Cooper, behind the bench, and what his staff can do with adjustments is truly remarkable. Alex Killorn also actually told me before the series even started that you do not get to 3 straight Stanley Cup Finals without an excellent coach and an excellent coaching staff, that you need the players, but they certainly deserve a lot of credit as well. So once again, if you're just joining us, welcome inside Ball Arena here in Denver as you're kind of drinking in the environment. Not many fans in the building yet. Of course, they're enjoying whatever festivities they can do outside in this beautiful Denver weather. The dichotomy between humidity is fantastic. I cannot wait for all my Denver friends to come on down to Tampa later on Monday and understand what we're dealing with back at home. But you can see the pom-poms out here. It's a fantastic environment. And what's really funny is the Colorado Avalanche, they call it, their moniker this year is Find A Way, and Tampa Bay, as we know, are the Tampa Bay Findaways. So I guess we should have known that this thing was going to come to a head in the finals here, with that kind of leading into it. And also what I found interesting was the Colorado Avalanche were the odds-on favorites to win the Stanley Cup final last year, when the odds makers out in Vegas were predicting these things. The Lightning were 3. Las Vegas ended up being 2, which is funny. They didn't even make the playoffs. But we really are getting a tremendous Stanley Cup final, a series where we all believe this is going to go 6 or 7 games. I certainly do not believe that the Bolts are ever going to fold the tent in and get swept by Colorado. So winning this game, though, would be an amazing swing matchup heading back home. And remember, we start playing every other day from this point forward. We had the wacky 2 days off here in Denver. The team has been out here an entire week getting acclimated to the altitude and just preparing for this matchup. They're excited to return home. They'll play on Monday and Wednesday. All the puck drop times are at 8 o'clock. That will be 3 and 4 respectively. Then if we have to come back here, it will be Game 5 on Friday, Game 6 back in Tampa on Sunday, and then we will see if we will need a Game 7 inside this building to determine who hoists the Stanley Cup final. And once again, if you're just joining us and you missed a little bit of my stats run there at the start, and I got about a minute left with you, John Cooper is about to speak with the podium, and we're going to run down there. But Game 2 record for the Tampa Bay Lightning, 24-11. That is the best record all time in NHL history, 11-4 on the road, and they have never lost a Stanley Cup final. Let me give you my prediction and what I think is going to happen as I'm going to step the screen here. I think the Bolts are going to win 4-2 tonight, and here's why. One, the adjustments. They just really know how to buckle down after a loss. And sometimes in these scenarios, a loss, you learn a lot more about what you need to do versus a win where you try to keep the same thing rolling. And I think they found something in that Game 1 in the middle of the contest. The only thing they did not find was aggressiveness offensively. So that's why I think they're going to score 4 goals, because I think we are going to see 30 to 40 shots from this Tampa Bay Lightning team, which is usually more than what we expect. But I think they're going to push the pace a little bit more, They're going to be the aggressors. Colorado's going to be confused, and that's going to work in their favor. So my prediction, 4-2, coming back home with a split series, and again, puck dropping Monday in Game 3 inside Amalie Arena. Thank you for joining me here inside Ball Arena, and we are excited to see what goes down tonight in Denver. Remember to join us on Nightside at 11 o'clock, where we'll give you hopefully some post-game sound, regardless of the result. If it goes into overtime, we're going to ride this roller coaster together. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a fun night planned watching this game.